Hey everybody, I am super excited to share this very spirited, fun, and super informative conversation with Katelyn Jarkoweic of Hey Thanks Herbal Company. Katelyn is based out of Baltimore City. Enjoy this conversation and please be sure to find Katelyn on Instagram, Hey Thanks Herbal Co.
Have invited you here, my dear. In our program, we're starting a 2 weeks of elimination and also of nourishment with seasonal foods. It's really important that as we're cleaning up our diets, that our body, our systems have the capability to release whatever needs to be released.
Yeah, totally. That's a huge part of spring. You can do all of like the detoxification, in the world, but if your like main elimination organs, like your kidney, your liver, and your lymph, if they are sluggish or not like functioning optimally, all those toxins that you're working through are just floating around in your body, making you feel even worse. Supporting our elimination organs is, I think, like one of the most important things we can do to feel our best in the springtime, coming out of like this cold, stagnant, heavy winter that we were just in.
Yeah. If you like have a top 3, like what are you calling near right now to help you? And what do you recommend for others to call near?
I went on like a little like scavenger hunt and I like picked up all of these different herbs. I could have like filled baskets full of plants, but if I had to pick, let's say like 5 herbs, well, I guess we could talk about them. In herbal medicine, when you talk about the digestive system, you're really talking about like upper GI, which is like everything from your mouth to your stomach, and then lower GI, small intestine to colon. And then like the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, the pancreas, like these are all like related to the digestive system, but kind of like auxiliary organs, so to speak. Speaking just on like herbs for digestion, you're eating to feel like warm, like nourished. You're eating like fatty foods, heavier foods, like just those comfort foods that you need to survive the cold, wet, dark time. Things like green is just like around. So that's like the stuff that we should be like reaching for. Anything that is like green, and a lot of the like wild spring greens that are out right now are not coincidentally on purpose. They're bitter. Think about I don't know if anyone can see. Anyone recognize this deeply serrated, deeply tubed
dandelion?
Dandelion. Yeah. None of the dandelions in my yard have flowers, but there's lots of leaves right now. So this is an amazing wild food and also a really important spring medicine. Thinking about the leaves and also the roots. There's not like the most medicine in the flowers. But yeah, these greens have more calcium than spinach, more beta carotene than carrots. And most importantly, they're bitter. Most people know, like if you break apart a dandelion leaf or a stem, that like white milky substance that comes out, those are where like most of the bitter constituents live. And bitters are really, really important for getting all of those like digestive juices flowing. Getting all of those like digestive juices flowing. So as soon as you like taste something bitter on your tongue, those bitter like taste receptors, they'll send a message to your pancreas to release enzymes, for your gallbladder to release bile, for your liver to make more bile. Eating these like bitter herbs with your meal, before your meal, taking digestive bitters, like the blend that I make that has like a couple different bitter tasting herbs in it, is going to really help you get the most out of your food by stimulating that digestive process, so that by the time the food hits your tongue, you have like the right like blend, like the right concoction of digestive juices, like ready to go and like break down that food.
Can I say one thing, Kate?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a eat like the best foods, right? Like we can really be like eating the best foods from the farmer's market, organic, local, really high in chi. And if our digestive system is weak, we're not going to be able to extract the potential, here. Thank you.
No, that's an amazing point, because I think like we all think about that, that saying, like you are what you eat, but really it is you are what you assimilate. Leaky gut or like chronic diarrhea, and everything you eat is just like going right through you, and you're not getting any of those like nutrients from your food, then it doesn't matter what you eat. Like you are what you assimilate. So a big part of assimilation is like a big like step towards assimilating your food is having it broken down properly. So that starts, in the mouth, just like mindful eating, chewing your food. Like think about like if you were making, I don't know, like carrot ginger soup, you wouldn't like just chuck whole carrots and whole knobs of ginger into a pan. You would like chop your carrots up nice and small and chop up your onions and chop up your ginger. And, and that's what we need to like think about when we eat, is chewing our food well, like being in, like the nervous system also plays a huge part in digestion. Like I feel like you can't talk about digestion without speaking about the nervous system, because so much of us are in, that fight or flight mode in like our sympathetic nervous system. The other half of that is the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. So our body is like designed, to not be thinking about, digestion when, we were getting like chased by a lion, for example, during the evolutionary process. So we have those two modes. So switching into that rest and digest mode is crucial. I don't know. I think that's why maybe like praying before you eat, like, was a thing. So even if you're, not religious, you could still take a moment to think about how the food that you're about to eat like came to your plate, who grew it, who prepared it. Just taking like that 1 second to switch your nervous system into that parasympathetic rest and digest state, so that, things can like juices can flow, like valves can open, and we're not, fighting for our life in, fight or flight mode. So that's another crucial thing. And so those are like, just think about like all of your nervines, like chamomile and rose and lemon balm and skullcap, motherwort. I mean, you could just go on and on and on and on. But just those herbs that make you
milky
feel
oats.
And the milky oats, yes, totally. So where was I? Digestion.
I interrupted you.
Oh yeah,
I interrupted you. I'm sorry, I interrupted you because you were actually beginning to say nervines to help us come into that place of rest and digest.
Yeah. So I mean, after the food is, I know you wanted to talk about the liver. But so after like the food is mechanically broken down in the mouth and then like chemically broken down in the stomach, small intestine, basically the small intestine just takes all of that like metabolic material and dumps it into your portal vein, which is this main vein that runs like up through your body into the liver. And the thing about that vein is it doesn't have like a pump, like, you know, like our heart to like move the stuff around. So it can get kind of stagnant, especially like in the winter months. So that's why spring, you know, in addition to like drinking water, like eating all of the right foods, like moving our body is like a really crucial thing that we should try to do in the springtime to like feel our best. And not saying like you need to go 0 to 60 and like run a marathon tomorrow, but you know, just like get out into nature, like go for a walk, do some yoga, do some gentle movements. And that also kind of helps the natural like detoxification, digestive processes. It's really important. Once it gets to the liver has like probably the liver is the biggest organ in the body. And I think it has like the most work. It's got like the biggest job ever, because every single thing that we put into our body, the liver has to deal with or like sort out in one way or another. I like to think of the liver as like a big like receiving shipping warehouse. So like everything that's coming up through this portal vein into the liver has to be like, okay, unpack this box, be like, okay, what's in this box? All right, this needs to go here, this needs to go here, this needs to go here. It marks everything and then repacks it up and then like ships it out where it needs to go. So if the liver is like bogged down with toxins, if it's not receiving like fresh blood from like the hepatic artery, all of these things, like, you know, there's going to be some screw ups in the warehouse. Things are going to get backed up. Toxins are going to be hanging out in the hepatic portal vein. There might be like reabsorbed into the blood without being properly packed and sealed and, you know, and ready to go. So the liver has a huge task of dealing with every single thing that we put in our bodies. And then so once things go to the liver shipping warehouse, then, you know, the liver will like pack up toxins into these nice little piles and then send them to your kidneys. And then your kidneys can eliminate things through your urine, or it'll like, you know, pack up these little things to get eliminated through your stool, like all sorts of things. But the liver is, a huge organ with a really huge responsibility, and it can get really backed up and it can get really hot and overworked. So a lot of these like bitter herbs I'm talking about, like dandelion especially, this is an amazing herb for the liver. It's hepatoprotective, so that means it actually helps to protect the liver, restore its like function. It's a tonic for the liver. Another herb that I think about when I think about the liver is burdock root. That's another like really wonderful springtime herb that you can find, you know, growing abundantly outside. You can also sometimes find it at farmers markets, Asian markets. It's called gobo. I've seen it like at H Mart and stuff. You can also buy it pickled. And so this is kind of one of those like dandelion. It's an herb, it's a medicinal herb, but it's also can be a food that you can eat. And really protective and supportive for the liver and for digestion in general. Yeah.
I'm sorry I interrupted you earlier because you were going to show us your greens. But yes, dandelion, absolutely. And even I know here in Baltimore City, moms will carry dandelion greens, and they're just amazing. Brooke is asking if you would just eat the root of burdock.
Yes, the root. Yeah, I know like the leaves can be used, but I haven't ever done anything with the leaves, so I don't really want to speak about how they can be used because I'm not really quite sure.
Recipe for burdock root fries. I'll share that in the next couple of days on the website.
Burdock is so great because like a lot of like root vegetables, like they're really rich in like prebiotic starches. So specifically like inulin, burdock is really, really high in inulin. So the awesome thing about like prebiotic starches is they go into the gut and they like feed the good bacteria in the gut. So, sometimes it's not like enough just to like take probiotics like in a capsule. It's like if you just are taking this bacteria in, but you're not like giving them anything to like grab onto or like feed off of, they're just gonna like pass right through you. So burdock is also really crucial for creating just like a really healthy, solid, flourishing microbiome because of its prebiotic starches. There's also tons of prebiotic starch in dandelion root. Again, you can kind of like get some of those starches like through tinctures, but or like vinegars, but the best way to do it is to just like either eat it or like in the case of dandelion root, like make a decoction where you like take the roots and like simmer them in water. You can also do like roasted dandelion root. I know you're talking about like elimination. Are you like eliminating like caffeine, alcohol, like all of that stuff? So yeah, if you wanted to, a cool way to like eliminate or, drink less coffee, but also like get in touch with these like spring herbs we're talking about is to like do maybe half coffee, half dandelion, like roasted dandelion root or all dandelion root or chicory. Make yourself like a rooty medicinal coffee alternative kind of beverage. That could be really, really nice.
I love that. You're like, I love Katelyn. I have like a whole outline and literally you're covering everything that's on the outline. And because one of the things I wanted to talk about were morning drinks, the possibility of like, for those who are, love their morning ritual and really love coffee or whatever, maybe it's even black tea. But as you were just saying, like to call upon some of those roots like dandelion, chicory, I know Jenny Earhart, I have a blend here in the store. I don't even know exactly what's in it, but it's a roasted roots. So it's not coffee and it is something you can make in the morning and it's roasted and it has this added benefit, right? Of like supporting the liver and digestion and bringing minerals into the body, right?
Yeah. And bitter, like, just like coffee, I feel like it kind of, it's not like coffee, but it does like scratch that itch, so to speak.
Because everything you're saying is so important.
I know I could talk for like hours. I'm just like so hyped. I like just love, spring is just like the best time. It's just like a fresh start. It's a time for us just to like ourselves, like get back to like the real stuff that matters, like the plants and like our bodies. And
definitely know. You absolutely know. You're speaking
like a couple coffee alternatives, that you can buy at like Mom's that I've seen that also have like roasted barley. That's like a common ingredient in these like coffee alternatives. And barley is like a gluten containing grain. Like an herbal coffee alternative, I would say like roasted chicory, roasted dandelion, burdock, would be like the three main herbs that I would put in there. And then you could also, get creative with like cinnamon, cardamom, I don't know, orange peel if you wanted to. But yeah, all of those things are all gluten-free.
There was a question in the chat from
Oh,
Ashley.
nettles. Yes. I have them right here.
I know.
There's something I'm forgetting. Nettles, stinging nettles. Yeah. This is like the springtime herb right here. It's pretty easy to identify. It's got these like very deeply toothed, serrated, kind of leaves. And then if you look really close, like tiny, tiny little hairs. And if you brush up against it, yes, it will sting you. But yeah, the energy of this plant is just like everything we need for the spring. So it's like prickly, fiery, like stimulating, everything we need after just like that cold, stagnant, wet, damp winter. This is really fiery. It like gets things like moving. It gets things energized. And it's so nutritive. So calcium, magnesium, potassium, vitamins A, vitamin C. I mean, this is just like a superfood right here. So really, really nourishing. Like the body system that it like most influences, I guess, would be like the kidneys. So nettle is a diuretic. So that can be kind of helpful for like when you're detoxing, if you're like eliminating things, you're trying to like move toxins out of the body. Because like we said earlier, like, the two main ways to get toxins out of the body is either like urine or stool. So nettle is really great. It just like gently stimulates the kidneys. So if you're like drinking or eating lots of nettles, you want to make sure you're also just like drinking lots of water too. So make sure you don't get like dehydrated. But yeah, nettles, I just think of like the energy of nettles as like old kind of cranky old witch with like a broom, and she's like sweeping out the cobwebs in our body. And it also, is like has some anti-inflammatory, antihistamine action. So this can be a great plant if you suffer from any sort of like allergic inflammatory response. And then also, just allergies in general.
Nettles is like my best favorite. You could eat that, right? Like you could just pop that in your mouth, right, Katelyn?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, I would kind of like, if this is the front side of the leaf and then this is the back side, kind of like roll the leaf up so that you're kind of covering up all of the back side, because that's where most of the stingers are. And then I kind of just like crush it in my little fingers and you can eat it. But the other way to take out the sting is like just like to lightly blanch it. If you wanted to make like a nettle pesto, you could like blanch the nettles first. But they're really great if you wanted to add them to like a soup or something. You could just like chop up the nettles and then add them to your like already made soup or some broth, and then that would also like take away the sting. But yeah, just eating so many nettles, as many nettles as you can get your hands on in the spring would be my advice. And then you could also buy the nettle like leaf dried and prepare an infusion and just drink that if you don't have access to the fresh nettles. Yeah. But thanks for bringing that up, Ashley. Yes, this is like the springtime remedy right here. Like urban foraging is like, it's a complex like subject because yeah, I mean, there are like pollutants in the city that, I mean, if you're like walking down the street and you like see a dandelion and you like want to eat it, like one dandelion leaf or flower is not really going to be like a super detrimental thing. But, if you want to like pick like a whole basket of nettles and like make a pesto and make a soup and have it in your freezer, it's like you do want to find like a nice clean spot away from roads, traffic, like human traffic, animal traffic. I mean, I can just tell you that like nettles grow everywhere at Cromwell Valley Park. If you have a car and you can go there, just go there and you will find the nettles there for you in abundance and in a beautiful, clean, safe setting. But yeah, I think it's like totally fun to like, I don't know, even if you just want to like, if you do find like a patch of nettles in the city, you can kind of just go and like hang out with the plant. Like you don't have to like eat it to like get something from it. Like you can just go like sit with the nettles and like let it sting you and just be like, oh, okay. Like just try to understand like the energy and like what it has to offer. So I think that that's kind of like a valuable thing too. And something that you can totally do to connect with the plant world when you are in more of like a city, like urban setting.
Question is coming from Brooke. And Brooke wanted to know, like, what herbs would you recommend to help with elimination
People
and
have
bowel
problems
support?
with constipation. You know, it's just like you're like holding on to something. Like it's like a tension thing, it's a stress thing, it's an anxiety thing, it's like a need for control type of thing. So I kind of think about nervines. So herbs that just like relax and calm the nervous system. And then also there's like a classification of herbs called carminatives. And then so these are herbs that like are specific for the digestive system that like help to soothe like the smooth muscle. So all of your like intestines, colon. And so herbs like chamomile, fennel, like fennel is a wonderful carminative herb. And you know, like lots of times at Indian restaurants, they have those like little like fennel candies like by the, you know, by the door that you can grab when you leave. But just like any of like those kind of culinary herbs, fennel, caraway, anise. So these herbs that like are just really rich in like aromatic essential oils, all of those like essential oils like work on the nervous system and then also like work on the smooth muscles just to like loosen, release tension. And then yeah, bitters also before your meals. Ideally, excuse me. Ideally you would take bitters like 15 to 20 minutes before you eat. And again, so bitters just like help prime the digestive system for food. So chewing your food well, taking these bitters so that way, you know, everything is just like easy. Just make everything as easy as you possibly can. And also drinking lots of water too. Ideally at least a half a gallon a day. I think that's like always what I recommend, like a good place to start, and then see if you feel like you need more or less, or yeah, that'd be my advice.
Thank you, Katelyn.
Release that into the world, but that has cleavers, which we never talked about, but you know, lots of like digestive herbs, but also like lymphatic herbs, so that like our body is able to process all of this metabolic waste from all the greens and healthy things that we're doing. But if you want, you could also check out like single herb tinctures, or just like search an herb like cleavers or nettles, and you can buy like the single herb tinctures, which are also kind of fun to, you know, just work with like one plant at a time versus like a formula. But yeah, so that's the coupon code that you can enter at checkout.